And welcome back to Beyond Expo. I'm your host, Richard Lai, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Engadget Chinese. For this panel, we'll be talking about the global trends in consumer tech. So joining me, we have Becky Center, who's the CEO of crowdfunding platform Indiegogo. We also have Alex Yang, who's the co-founder and COO of Tuya Smart. And we also have Romeo Luo, who's the general manager of Asia Pacific and Europe of Anker. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. So why don't we start off with getting some highlights from each of you for the year, especially with Becky. Actually, I feel a little bad because, Becky, you've actually only joined Indiegogo in April this year. But I was wondering if you're able to share some highlights of the global trends you've observed so far for this year, at least. Maybe tell us more about if there have been any significant patterns or changes with the crowdfunding scene from your perspective.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello to everyone out there. Yes, as you mentioned, I have only been with the company since April, but we're always seeing really interesting trends. So far, I would say, we're continuing to see what has been really trending over the last few years, continuing here in green tech, anything environmentally friendly. And I think that we're seeing more creative, environmentally friendly campaigns as well as people choosing options that offset carbon footprint in shipping and in production. So that is definitely really popular and continuing to grow. We're also seeing quite a bit this year more along travel and outdoors. Travel, had dipped a little bit in COVID, and now everyone is back, at least in the States. People are traveling quite a bit again. And so kind of travel gear, camping items, accessories and technology around kind of getting back out there. Those are a few of the trends that we've been noticing so far.
Excellent. So green tech and traveling related products. I'm very jealous because I personally have not left Hong Kong for almost 3 years now. But I'm very much looking forward to flying to CES in early January. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there as well.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, let's move to Alex. You're with Tuya Smart, so you work on smart home products and smart platforms. Do tell us if you have any highlights when it comes to the global trend in consumer tech from your perspective.
Yeah, the first thing is many people starting to concern about sustainability. So the green power, the energy saving stuff, especially right now in the past summer, we're suffering maybe the largest energy gap during the maybe human history. So people are starting to concern about a lot. And the second part is what we found is the outdoor become very hot, especially maybe in some regions, like you mentioned that you didn't have the Macau, Hong Kong for 3 years. So people, where do they go? People don't like to stay in a house, for such a long time. So people go outdoor. So outdoor type of products and lifestyle become more and more popular. That'll be the second one. And the third one, what we found is that security related stuff and in some regions and become more and more popular. I'm not sure why is that. Maybe because of we made some economy challenge out there. So people were concerned about whether the society stay the same level of safety as before. So they starting to purchase more and more security stuff to ensure their own safety.
That's very interesting to hear, especially with the home security side of things, or maybe not just home, maybe office as well. But
office. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Now, last but not least, Romeo, I would love to hear from you from, your perspective as a part of Anker. Anker is obviously very well known for making consumer electronics. So do tell us what's been the global trend from your side.
Yeah, thanks for the chance. Yeah. From our side, I should say at this stage, I'm quite agree with Becky and Alex for what they have already talked. So I think the main words should be back to the nature, or we should see back to the outdoor. So from our part, we should see two categories related to those kind of back to outdoor, back to nature lives really had a very good trend. The first one is from our side is the goods related to those people who out of the quarantine who want to go out for travel, for camping, for those kind of things. There is one category we call the mobile power portable powerhouse or portable power station. It really grows very, very fast in this 1 year. So among all the China, US, Europe, everywhere. So I think this is one of us want to make our life outdoor to be more convenient, more easier. And another part is that when we are outside, we want our home still to be clean, still to be tidy. So those kind of the smart home products are also growing. So including the security products, which Alex mentioned, as well as those smart cleaning things in the industry also grow very fast.
Excellent. That's very good to know. Now, we've been talking about the global trend, but I'd like to focus us a little back in maybe Asia, because I would imagine different regions would have their different little highlights, so to speak. I'd like to see if there are any odd trends that stood out for you for our particular area here in Asia, or maybe even China, especially with some of you working with the Chinese companies. But why don't we start with Becky? I don't know if Indiegogo has many active users here in China. Maybe you can correct me on that. But so, are there any particular categories perhaps that are more popular somehow in Asia or maybe even China?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have both, products and campaigns that come out of China, as well as backers and users in China and all over the globe. So we definitely do. I think what was really interesting on your first question is that we're all three seeing pretty consistent trends. So I actually found that really interesting to hear about that. We kind of looked into thinking about this conference, and one of the things that we saw particularly, well, in general, kind of globally, we are seeing, as has been mentioned, sort of smart home products staying really consistent. But one thing we saw is, maybe particularly coming out of Asia, are smart pet products as well. So more specifically, like smart kitty litter cleaning, kind of like high-tech toy cat and dog toys. So that's kind of fun. And then the other thing we saw is continuing to grow our home entertainment products. And I think perhaps we look at, again, maybe in the US and Europe, people have started to travel a little bit more and are shifting out of home, but potentially in China, still quite a heavy demand for entertainment in the home.
When you say home entertainment products, are you talking about, I'd imagine you mean like projectors or smart speakers, things like that?
Yeah, exactly. Projectors, I've got karaoke machines, games. They just kind of like fun things that you can do, entertainment.
Cool. I might have to look up one of those karaoke machines on Indiegogo then, because I do love a bit of karaoke myself. How about Alex? Let's talk about going back to smart home products. What do you see in Asia?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'd like to echo on Becky's point, especially on the smart pet. We found that the cat related stuff are much more best selling than the dogs, because we have saying say that you're the dog keeper, so you are the master. When you are cat keeper, the cat is the master. So you have to beg for the cat, to please them. So you have to buy a lot of stuff, to play with the cat. So we found that the cat products are much best selling than the dogs one. And I like to add two more categories. The first one is, I already mentioned in the first point, is outdoor, especially in China, because, and in Southeast Asia as well. And we know that right now in Europe, mostly travel free, right? But in China right now, people still meet some type of, VUCA situation. So people are back to nature, like Romeo said. And I never saw so many like the campaign stuff been selling in our retailers, for decades. Suddenly, maybe in past 1 year or two, and a lot of Chinese people, they have to choose, to go camp, learn how to camp with the kids, how to go to outdoor, how to do the hiking stuff. So that type of stuff become a new trend for them. So for us, that our customers develop like the smart battery and generator for camping, lighting system for camp, sleeping like products, for the sleeping bag, and some security for SOS while you go hiking. So that type of stuff become a new hockey curve stuff for us. That's the first one. And the second one is sports. Yeah. Maybe people are concerned about the health. So the best way to protect yourself is, to keep a healthier status of your body. So people are concerned about I need to do some sports starting from school in China and from the maybe the all those kind of employees. And we found that those kind of in-house sporting gears and become best-selling items as well. So the skipping rope and badminton related stuff. And so people like to doing that exercise more and more often.
Just
and
very
they like
quick.
to.
Okay, sorry. But does Tuya Smart make sport products?
We don't make smart products. We cooperate with the
sorry.
sports. Yeah, we cooperate with the sports gear manufacturers to turn the sports gears into the smart one. Because when people do sports, like to know, okay, how much calories I burned, right? How long I've been exercising, and what is my heartbeat rate? What is my the blood oxygen rate, etc. So they like to see data to keep motivate them, because workout is kind of against people. People don't like to work out, right? The body don't like to work out. So they need to find some motivation. So the data will be the best way to do it. So they always stick to the app to keep telling them, oh guys, good job for today. You hit your goal. And then keep reminding you, oh gosh, you left your workout for 3 days. You need to come back. So they need some data to motivate them and to keep telling them that you're in good shape. So that type of things will be a very good, fast growing categories as well.
Cool. I could use one of those sports products then, especially after all those extra calories from Mid-Autumn Festival.
Yeah, correct. And within the app, they're selling. They can in the app they have the online lectures, and online live coach, so you can purchase for that. So that's good business as well.
I see. Cool. Now, Romeo, I know you, actually you look after APAC as well as Europe. So I'm sure you'll be able to compare the two markets, so to speak, when it comes to different trends between those two when you do a comparison. And I'm sure you have a lot in common, Anker, and Tuya, I guess, have some overlapping when it comes to product categories. But do tell us, anything that stood out when it comes to our side of the world in APAC and maybe even China when it comes to the different trends.
Yeah, sure. There is a specific category which I really want to point out, which is make me think it's really interesting. That is the smart cleaning. From previously we see the vacuum cleaner, then later on the robotic vacuum cleaner, and now we are involved into the smart cleaner, including the cleaning and mopping of the kind of things. So quite strangely is that during the past 3 years, we can see China and the whole Asia, this category are still growing, but in Europe is somehow declining. So we actually did some research. We found that is in China because a lot of people, they have to stay at home for quite many months. So before they just have 2 to 3 hours in their bedroom, in their living room. So all the working hours, they will be outside, right? So they are not really concerned about how clean the room is. But now they have to face all those situations all the days and they want to do the easiest things. So this is a push the Chinese companies to really to develop their technologies. From the beginning, as we said, it's only a vacuum cleaner, but now it's combined everything, right? So the Chinese company, including Anker, including some of other brands, are leading the trend of the technology. Then when it goes to Asia, especially in the Southeast Asia area, before the COVID, most of the families, they have their nannies, they have their housemates. So all the home cleanings are done by the nannies. The salary is just 1,000 RMB per month. So far below the machine. But in the COVID area, in the COVID years, all the nannies cannot work anymore. All the rich people or even just the middle level people, they cannot hire nanny. They cannot hire housemaid. So they still need to do clean. So they started to buy those kind of machines. So all those companies, they are investing into Southeast Asia for a lot, and we saw a very huge growth. But when it back to Europe, including the US, because they opened their border, they opened the entire society in a very early stage. So at that area, the overall market is somehow quite flat. So that is the first part I saw. It's really a big comparison in Eastern and Western part. Yeah. The second observation from our side, that is mainly happening in China. China is, again, is leading. Other countries maybe are still following. Is I should say it's smart apps. Because in China now, we use everything on our mobile phone. We can do everything for the whole day. Before we just do chat, we do some of the online shopping on Taobao, on JD. But now we buy food, we buy groceries, we buy everything. And even we do the net test, we use a QR code. So all the Chinese people now, I think we are 95%, 99% rely on our smartphones. So a lot of those new apps, those smart apps, really help us a lot. I'm not sure it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. Even my kid, my daughter is 9 years old now, and about 3 hours she will focus on the smartphones, but really make our lives more convenient.
Well, until you hit a power cut, obviously. It's true. It's happened to one of the cities, but very, very interesting indeed. And I'm sure, like, it's good that you mentioned the cleaning products. I'm sure Becky, Indiegogo has sold many, many of those as well. But it is interesting to hear from Romeo that there's a decline on in that particular category outside of Asia, or in particular outside of China. But I don't suppose, Becky, you've seen other categories that have been particularly affected by COVID. Either a growth in that area, or maybe a decline in that area. I was wondering if you've seen any products that were particularly affected by COVID that was featured on Indiegogo.
Absolutely. I would say, first of all, I'm definitely one of those people who, once I was home, I bought the cleaning vacuum robot. It's so great. I love it. I cleans at night while I'm sleeping. But yeah, we are seeing, I mean, similar to what's been said, I think, smart home security. I think that, Alex mentioned that rings true. We saw that as well. And yeah, I can make guesses, but I mean, definitely, maybe with people being concerned about jobs and crime and safety and people spending more time at home, like we for sure saw that. I think another trend, maybe one that hasn't been mentioned yet, is just general, cooking. Like a lot of people kind of took up cooking as a hobby here in the States during COVID. And so we've seen both here and I'd say in Asia, the air fryer, bread makers, ice cream makers, all kind of like interesting home appliances. I think that's been kind of universally quite popular. That grew very significantly in COVID, and I think it's still staying strong. Although I would agree that some of those kind of COVID categories are stronger now in the Asia region than in US and EMEA. This may have also been mentioned, but We're also seeing home generators and portable, backup charger. That's really interesting. We have a really large, popular campaign on our site right now. And that's going, just super, super popular. And then, overall, like outdoor leisure and activities and things that people can do either at the beach or in the woods. It all kind of makes sense in this same context that we're talking about, but all of those we're seeing pick up. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. You know what is one I missed? Camera gear, another one. Just the same way that I'd say cooking. People have just developed hobbies, so cameras, and we have some really interesting lenses, and there's so much technology around photography that is also, I think, been quite popular.
Any particular kinds of camera gear? Because I know Indiegogo is famous for making not so much the platform itself, but the manufacturers or the startups. They focus on sometimes the quirky things. So I would imagine you're referring to those very niche or very special lenses or maybe attachments. Are these what you're referring to?
Yeah, so I would say for camera gear lately, what I've seen a little less quirky and more like the enthusiasts, like those who just want really high tech, right? Like really specific lens attachments, even like the carrier cases and the accessories, but pretty high tech, high end products, I would say. So it's for the hobbyists who want to go deep, I guess, and get really into it is what we're seeing.
Okay, very interesting. Now, we've been focusing mostly about the categories, the products, both globally and in APAC in particular. I'd like to also get your perspective on the purchasing experience and, the purchasing habits, whether that's changed a bit in the past 2 or 3 years because of COVID. I guess, it's fair to say that most people are now accustomed to buying online. So that's never been a problem for Becky, I'm sure, because, Indiegogo is just online, I think. And, but whereas, Tuya is a bit of a mix because you also work with manufacturers to integrate your smart solutions. And then Anker, you do both online and offline as well. But, do tell us about whether COVID has changed any of the purchase habits and how you've adapted your platforms. Maybe why don't we start with Alex? What has Tuya done to tweak to cater to that change?
I think that some habits maybe will last forever. People will not go back. Like you'll rely more and more on e-commerce. So you don't even want to carry stuff from the shelf, right? You want someone to deliver to your door. I mean, the laziness is always the best motivation for people, and also people care more and more on health caring, on the protections. So whenever they go or whatever kind of stuff they like to purchase, they will check out whether there will be new health problems. I think that things won't go away. People will stay on there. But what I see here, interesting stuff is the first one, people, like Romeo mentioned, people rely more and more on smartphone, and people starting to connect everything to smartphone. Not only purchasing, but also connect the devices to a cell phone, connect their house to a cell phone, connect their own health data to a cell phone. So I think that will be a very good habit to move the technology forward, because they're starting to understanding how these things can change the way they live, how these things can help them to either monitoring their status or telling them how to do better. People are starting to grow stickiness on there. So that's the first stuff. And the second stuff is that people are starting to care more on data. No matter it's telling you the calorie you burned or telling you the energy your house being used. And so people are starting to understand more things on data, and then you use the data to drive the purchase. I think that's the second stuff. And the third stuff is what we saw is that automation become a more and more solid demand. I like to use one use cases. So from our customer in Brazil. So this is a new customer for us. The opportunity that we can work together is that the general manager of our customers and the father of the general manager, that he got some hearing disorder. Even he's trying to wear audiophone, but he always got some issues, like someone knocked the door, he don't know some people is coming in, or when the phone rings, still the audiophone cannot help at all. And so he found that the smart home can help something. So when he helped his fathers to install the entire smart home system in his house, when he locked the door, the smart ring bell will initiate the lights. So the light is starting to, flash. So his father said, "Oh gosh, that's the knock knock." Even he cannot hear that. And and also maybe there's some alarm, we can use some different stuff to initiate him. So he found that the new way to use the smart home systems can help some people we never thought before, maybe the disabled, maybe the elder ones. And so they can use the voice, they can use the lights to tell them something else. So then we start to work together to launch a home system they called Hi in Brazil, just focus on the disabled and elders. And so the way we design the user experience is for those people, for them to control and to monitor, to sense the device in another way. So I think that that type of new automation experience will become a new trend for the people. People are starting to understand how the house can be better. I think that will be the way we see.
That sounds very interesting. So you basically built a online shopping experience tailored to the people in need, to make sure they know that there are solutions that will help basically improve their lives. That's very, very, very meaningful. Very good. Very good job. Good job. And Romeo, going back to you, any changes in terms of purchasing experience from your side? I'm sure Anker's been doing online or e-commerce for quite some time anyway. So, have you had to make any big changes to adapt to COVID?
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we are talking about the purchasing behavior change, I want to mention that actually it started by the selling behavior changes. So like you've mentioned, for Anker, we were started our business on Amazon. So before the COVID, when we were talking about online, we were talking about Amazon. When we're talking about offline, we were talking like the stores in China, the Suning Gourmet in US, Walmart, Costco, Best Buy, those kind of stores. But during COVID, you know what? The Costco, Best Buy, Walmart, they all opened their online platforms. For China, it's even happened quite long before, right? And in Australia, JB Hi-Fi, all those kind of key merchants, they all opened their online platforms. And in some countries, those key merchants' online platforms becomes the top e-commerce site, especially in Southeast Asia. Shopee, Lazada, we heard this quite many years ago, but during the COVID years, like the Vietnam's mobile group, their platform becomes the biggest one for e-commerce. So for this one, when we're dealing with JB Hi-Fi, when we're dealing with Walmart, are we selling our products for online or offline? So it's combined. And meanwhile, not only those online and offline, we have another channel, let's say the Douyin, and out of China is TikTok. And in Taobao, we have the Taobao live streaming broadcast. This is not the purely online platform anymore. They will have the very real-time interaction with customers. So that's another advantage compared with the pure online platforms. So due to the constraints of the traffic flow, the channels started this kind of the evolution, and then all the brands we are following. All those kind of things, I think we are following the requirements of the consumers. They want to buy their required products in the most convenient way. So still, we are not saying that by those kind of changes, there's no live space for those offline merchants, offline retailers. They are still living in a quite good way. because customers, they still have their mind. For some of the products, I need to touch and try. So I will go to the offline stores. I will talk with the sales agents. For some products, I just want to ask some questions. I want some real-time response. So in China, we can talk with Douyin broadcasters. We can talk with Li Jiaqi, who just come back yesterday. Yeah, a lot of girls say, "Whoa, finally he comes back." And in some of the products, we just read the comments and see the descriptions. We can get it, and it can be easily sent in front of our home. So we will go to online. So I think it's still all the brands, manufacturers, channels. We are trying all our best to make our customers happy, and this is the trend made together by those three parties. And I think it's a good trend. It just, if there's no COVID, I think it will take another 10 to 20 years for all the globally to make this kind of changes. Because of this COVID, because of the policies of all those countries, all those governments, people have to stay home, but they still want those kind of necessities. So all the industries is now pushing this change, and I think it's a good trend. So we will start from this point and to make all the purchasing experience into a more better way.
Yeah, very good. Just to fill those in who who aren't familiar, I think Romeo is referring to the when he mentioned TikTok and the Taobao live streaming. He's referring to the live streams where the hosts are basically talking about the products, and then you can make a purchase right away. It's a bit like the social media version of QVC.
Yeah.
But I was. How effective is that really? It's still an up and coming trend, but Romeo, are you able to first of all, does Anker handle that by itself, or you get third parties like TikTok or Taobao, or even the resellers, like Gourmet? Do they handle that themselves, or do you get your own hosts, or maybe you even personally have hosted one of those videos before? I don't know.
We tried this one in quite many markets already. So I should say that the most mature market is still China. So for China, we tried all the three ways you mentioned. We go with this top, we still call them KOLs, like
right.
I mentioned.
Influencers, yeah.
Yeah, influencers. We go with them, and we go with our retailers. They also have their own platforms, like the Dongfang Zhenxuan, right? They are one of the platforms. And we also go with our own hosts. Yeah. In China, I should say, in those three categories, that the top influencers are still the top one. They still can lead the whole, not only sales, they are also one of the very good way for branding. Then out of that, the retailers and the brand, our own stores, are somehow parallel. Then for the markets outside China, it's still at the beginning stage. So it's the people still willing to buy some of the cheap products because the confidence they are still not that believe those kind of the real-time selling. Yeah, they're just worried after I buy I cannot find those kind of after sales or those kind of things. Yeah, it's ongoing, but has to follow up with China. So China is the most perfect market for this kind of a situation.
Okay, well, hopefully these trends will eventually spread across the globe as well. Now, I have many more questions for you, but I think this is we're about done for time. So thank you again to Becky, Romeo, and Alex for this session, and hopefully I can meet you in person very soon. So until then, take care and see you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Nice meeting.